And now, Channel R presents Discover Spotlight, an exclusive series of interviews with our favorite emerging artists, taking you behind the music.
On today's Discover Spotlight, I'm speaking with London-based American alternative pop rising artist Lina Maxine. We talked about making of her new EP and single, Mango, and how her background in neuroscience has shaped her music. We also talked about her advice for other rising artists, plans for the summer, and more.
Save your juice for someone new. Bottle of the mango, he's drinking the life out of you. Gotta let the mango.
I've been listening to your music and listening to your EP. So Mango, I like the title of the single, the Mango. I get, what you're saying in the song. Let the mango.
Yes, it was birthed a little bit of a dad joke, some may say, but I find that those sort of phrases that people throw around or jokes or puns contain simple but effective truth.
Yeah,
and I think which started out as something a bit quirky, like a pun. I think developed into a little bit of an advice, which I hope some people who get to listen, maybe they take it on board, because it's good to do some things in favor of self-care, even if it requires sort of ending things or reassessing where you are with and who the people in your life. Like, you need to be able to make those decisions for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And you can put it into so many different things. It doesn't have to just be a partner or a boyfriend. It could be any situation in your life that you're holding on to that's not good for you.
Agreed.
That's a negative. So taking from your song there, you can take it so many ways, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, I'm happy you say that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, from listening to it, I'm thinking it just doesn't have to be that. You could put that into so many different perspectives of your life. So it's a good one to put out there for everyone to take the way they want to.
Agreed.
So the EP you've got, was there a theme for that, for your when you brought that out, or was there a specific sound you were planning for it?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first big project, independent project, where I think a big part of it is obviously the end product, having the EP, but a big and huge, growth part of it was making it and, searching for that sound, searching for the themes. And, it would be weird that the first ever product would be, already nailed the sound, nailed the themes. But I think what came out is something that, the name for the EP was created after the songs were finished. And I was like, what is a uniting theme that you can tell musically and lyrically, kind of streams through all the tracks. And I think it's sort of, I have the neuroscience background. I turned to creating music while I was finishing up my master's degree in neuroscience. And, my mind is in a little bit of a clinical laboratory where I think of things because of my studies and just the way that I am. I think a little bit of like case studies, where you think of a situation, you try to understand what the context is, you try to understand who the agents are, and what sort of, it's almost like a theater play. You can call it a theater play because it has a plot, it has like a resolution, it has the end product. So I think each song on the EP is that kind of case study where certain situation or certain emotion occurs, and there is a certain way in which it's expressed. Which kind of it is a short-lived sort of case study, and mind games is because more so I'm referring to emotions or certain thoughts that happened in my mind in regards to certain situations. So I think lyrically there's definitely that aspect, and musically I tried to tap into some emotional aspects of music as well. Some songs are a bit darker, some are a bit more energetic, some are a bit more ethereal, so it's like a little bit more transcendental, I guess. But yeah, it's still an experiment. It's still something that I'm trying to figure out which direction that I'm going in. But I do want to create something exciting. That's what like a bigger goal is. I do want to create music that like, you know, gets that emotion of like, let's do this.
Yes. When you're listening to it and everything, you can see that when you're reading about that you've got a neurological background, you can see what you're thinking, the way your mind's thinking, the way you're going with that, sort of having the mind games and everything there as well. Are you still going to be doing that? Is that you're going to be doing that and the music is going to be sort of like second to that, or are you going to try and do the two of them parallel to each other?
Well, you know, my whole life, music has been kind of parallel to what I've been doing, because my family, you know, and my kind of growing up has always, there's been big emphasis on education, and my mom's a doctor, so there was this emphasis on, you know, the sciences and technicalities. But music has been ultimately not just a parallel part. It's something that's always inspired me. It got me through. I think it's contributed in big part to like parts of my character. The performative side, I always, you know, I ultimately found myself most relevant to science, you know, like classes that weren't just kind of formulas. They were more so public speaking, or presenting a poster, or presenting a research. And I think in that way, music has always been, that performative aspect has always been a part of my life. But going forward, I think, you know, many people have asked how do you switch from something so unrelated, you know, from neuroscience to music. But in my mind, you know, those things are not mutually exclusive at all. They're actually part of a whole, because ultimately music is the product of, you know, our emotions, our brain that's facilitating those emotions, that is taking all the input, and ultimately just on the physics side of things, you know, the sound waves and all the aspects that make music into melodies and vocals and instruments. I think there's always going to be this intertwined combination between music and neuroscience, and ultimately a bigger thing that I'm hoping to, you know, reach as I go forward. I think I'm starting to realize that the people who are organizing around my project in some ways all relate to the topics in mental health, in the brain health, in just physical health and other things. And I think creating a community where we can speak more and facilitate conversations about, you know, how music can be a tool for healing, and ultimately, you know, from the origins of music, at first and foremost being a form of expression for anyone, but also relating to one another, facilitating certain conversations, facilitating emotions, facilitating forming relationships. I think there's that big power that music has over our minds and our lives more generally. And I think it's important to talk about it and, you know, connect on those levels with other people.
Yeah. When you started doing the music and everything, what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome, do you think, when you started?
Well, because it all kind of happened so quickly, you know, I think there was a lot of expedited work in terms of, because nowadays music and getting my music out there and being able to have this conversation with you, Tara, and like, it's a lot of not just music, it's a lot of marketing, it's a lot of, you know, figuring out a way to get it out there. And I think, I think I'm still struggling a little bit, but, you know, I'm learning, I'm connecting with other musicians who are in my shoes, especially now that, you know, it's a unique time post-pandemic. Things have changed a little bit in terms of, in some exciting ways in the music industry, because there's this opportunity for independent artists to market their music themselves and use the social media platforms to do it themselves and not necessarily be dependent on labels, etc. But it is, that being said, it's like a new path which not many people have walked through. So yeah, naturally there are some challenges that are not necessarily related to the music process per se, but it's all about, at the end of the day, networking and connecting with new people is the answer, because you can't do this alone, and you need to create so-called, you know, communities organized around and be, you know, put forward a message that is like it's authentically yourself and who you're trying to be, but also make sure that it's accessible to other people so that they want to participate and push this forward again with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's it. And that's where social media has got a really good aspect to it, is that it is good for that. You can get out there and you can get out to so many different people and get noticed that way. And then it can build up from there. And it's in such a nice way as well for you. It can be really good that way.
Yep.
What would your advice be for other emerging artists that, you know, that you'd love to emulate, that would like to be like you, and you'd like to let them know?
I think the advice is ages old, but I think that, you know, the weirdness and the quirkiness that comes with this ability to be performative and to, you know, to be an entertainer as a musician, and to, you know, be vulnerable and sincere when you're performing and putting music out there. You know, in no way or shape that should ever go undercover, or somehow, you know, nobody should be shying away from the quirkiness and the weirdness that we all kind of have, because at the end of the day, that is uniquely who each musician is, and that's what makes everybody, you know, their voice special and their tone special and all other things. So there's in this industry, I'm convinced there's place for everybody who's just honest about, you know, who they are. Yeah.
Be true to yourself.
Exactly. I mean, it's an ages old thing, but like, you know, it's with kind of, I think I've had a different idea of whom I am when I started this, and now I have a different idea, and it's an evolving process. And like, you know, it's that honesty and being, you know, being able to assess once in a while, being like, am I playing something up, or am I really just kind of in this moment? It makes a difference.
So do you see yourself doing any tours, or have you got anything else coming up, any gigs or anything of any kind?
Yeah, actually, I just announced a tour that I'm doing this week, starting this week. Oh my gosh, it's really crawling on me. Yeah, I just posted a little update on my Instagram, Lina Maxine Music, where it states all the dates where I'll be performing around the UK. We're starting in Leeds on the 28th, and then there's a few shows in Leicester, Liverpool, Bristol, London on the 4th, and Manchester and Birmingham. So hopefully I would love to see some of the people who are just, you know, discovering my music now there. It'll be exciting. I'm mostly just really excited to travel the UK. I haven't really been around London or Oxford much. So yeah, very excited.
It'd be good just to get out and about for a while and just see people and see how your performances go and get performing and everything as well. Yeah, as you say.
100%. Yeah, it's
Oh well, I wish you all the best of luck. I hope it all goes well for you.
Appreciate it, Tara. Hopefully, I mean, if you're free of any of those dates, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's really lovely speaking to you. Thanks ever so much for giving me your time.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. All right. Thanks, Lina. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Discover Spotlight. More music from the hottest emerging artists continues next on Channel R Discover.